Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
6:07. It's O'Connor and Company here on a Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us right here from your nation's capital. It's America's morning show, you know. This is how everyone around the country wakes up. I mean, honestly, you like your talk radio. You want to start your day with talk radio. You're going to listen to, your local guys from, I mean, no offense to some of the local shows out there.
Oh,
but you want to be plugged in. You want to be touching base with Washington, D.C.
Oh, please. Capital. They just want to, look, it's not being touching base with Washington, D.C. It's hanging out with Larry, and then I get to hang out with you, too. And you make you make politics fun.
There's that
because
part of
God
it,
only knows things are so dire. Things feel so dark and gloomy. I mean, it could be like the end of times, right, Larry?
It is now important to reveal to everyone that Mercedes Schlapp and the entire Schlapp family have become preppers. They have. She is actually calling us.
And I
from
would
her.
highly recommend that everyone else should become a
At
prepper.
6.
But Larry still has an electric vehicle. We got to talk about that.
I have a gas-powered vehicle as well. For those of us still interacting with the civilized world, thank you for joining us. It's 6:35. We're going to talk about School Choice Week and how Governor Moore in Maryland is trying to gut whatever vestiges there are of parental choice. 7:35. Matt Schlapp, American Conservative Union, on next month's CPAC conference and everything going on in politics today. 8:05. John Gonzalez of Channel 7 about the implosion of the Montgomery County school system. And then at 8:35, Liz Murrell, she's the Attorney General of Louisiana. She'll be joining us. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Mercedes Schlapp. And, well, you see headlines like this, Mercedes, and I understand why you're building the bunker in the backyard there, or wherever it is you're building it. Actually, I don't want to give anyone the location. Here it is from Fox News Channel. Are you ready? Here's the headline. Arctic zombie viruses could be released by climate change from thawing permafrost, some scientists claim. Now, let me stop for a moment. I read between the lines here, and all I see is another reason why people are trying to scare me about carbon emissions and climate change. Oh, yeah, you don't worry about global warming. You don't worry about hurricanes. You don't worry about rising tides. Well, what about the Arctic zombie virus? Maybe that'll get you to stop driving your SUV. So, I mean, why are we buying into this? Although I am curious about what an Arctic zombie virus is.
Me too. I was so intrigued by the headline. And by the way, this is coming from Fox News. It's not like, but I did find it.
As long as they're based in Manhattan, I'm very suspicious of those people.
But they literally say an ancient or unknown virus could prove disastrous. If it is released because things are melting, up in the Arctic, and we get these viruses, I mean, they're really. It's like they're setting off an alarm. Like they're thinking.
Of course they are. All they do is set off alarms. This is coming from the Aix-Marseille University in the south of France. They've done extensive research on what they're calling.
That was a really good accent, by the way.
Merci. They're calling it the Methuselah microbes. They're as old as Methuselah. Get it? They're 30,000 years old. And they have found these microbes living within what's called the permafrost. It's a permanent frozen layer below the Earth's surface. It's got soil and gravel and sand, and it's usually bound together by ice. And, of course, all of your SUV driving and all the cow farting out there is going to cause the permafrost to thaw.
Blah, blah.
And then, honestly, what scares you more? The Arctic zombie virus that'll be released due to climate change, so-called, or the virus is being engineered right now as we speak by the communist Chinese in a lab in Beijing?
Yeah, I think China is probably a bigger threat, but there is one of your French guys basically said it is now clear that a significant proportion of prehistorical viruses, this is crazy, prehistorical viruses, these are like dinosaur viruses, can remain infectious for even longer periods of time. Yeah. And then they say after being stable for the last 400,000 years, the Siberian permafrost could become, quote unquote, threatened due to global warming.
All the could be and might be and risk of and
global warming.
Honestly, this is. So, I'm telling you, we didn't scare them enough with the rising tides. We didn't scare them with Al Gore's little presentation 30 years ago, and so now we got to scare them with the Arctic zombie virus.
Well, it's a zombie virus, but let me tell you, does that mean this is like the movies that you watch that the human beings become zombies?
No,
I've seen seen these so many times.
It's not a virus that turns
a zombie is?
No, the zombie is that it's been frozen and dead, but now because it thaws out, the virus is the zombie.
Oh, you're so smart, Larry.
But then once you catch the zombie
virus, is that because you
virus,
brushed your hair finally?
That's
this
right.
morning
I'm much smarter once I
energy?
brush my hair and put my smart boy glasses on. I'm like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Meanwhile, but you add this to the mix, and you understand. I do have sympathy for people who are just like, I'm going to buy guns, I'm going to collect my ammo, I'm going to get a little shed in the hills of West Virginia, and I've got a go bag ready, and I've got an escape plan. If I need to unplug and disappear, that's what I'm going to. I
Look,
get it. I understand
there's a whole
those
prepper
people.
economy. I mean, you see these. You could buy your prepper backpack. You're ready to go. You're ready to survive for the 72 hours. Do you have
the
one
solar
already?
powered generators. Have you seen that?
Solar powered.
It's just got
yeah.
a solar panel that you put out there, and it'll give you electricity. I don't know how long it'll give you electricity, but as long as the sun is
We've already
shining.
made Heather Hunter. She's going to become our fabulous producer, the designated radio host.
I
when
love that
everything goes down.
I do love that your plan for prepping here includes us continuing to stay on the air somehow.
Absolutely. Heather Hunter will have like the handheld radio, and we'll be like live from the bunker. You know, she's the one. She'll survive.
Hey.
If any of us survives, it's going to be Heather Hunter and Derek Hunter.
Even
That is
in
my
the
prediction.
apocalypse, and we're all living in our little prepper
And
cave.
she'll still have her great red lipstick on because she always does.
Well, that's
every
true.
morning.
That goes without saying. I am not going to steal Mark Levin's bit, even in the apocalypse. I'm not going to be doing the live from an undisclosed bunker. No. That's Levin's thing. Okay, why are you dragging me into like plagiarism of the great one?
Because it's.
I don't want Julie on my bad side either.
Oh, Julie is so tough. I
know.
love her.
Right.
By the way, they're confirmed to come to CPAC, and they always do a panel together. And it
On
is
Saturday
one of the
morning.
best
It's fantastic.
panels.
Oh, but this is my tradition now. I wake up early Saturday morning after the Reagan dinner Friday night, and we watch Mark and Julie Levin, and then we go to the Seder. They have a
That's
they have a
right.
Seder lunch,
Yes,
which was
they do the
it was
Seder lunch.
fantastic.
And they do the Shabbat dinner on
last year.
Friday at CPAC.
Well,
and
which
you know
I
what's beautiful
can't
is we
do
do
because
the
I'm doing the Reagan dinner. That's
yeah, I think you're being slotted into
hard
the
to do
Reagan
that.
dinner. There's a lot of conversation about what Larry O'Connor is going to do at CPAC.
oh, good
Lots.
Lord. I'm nervous about that. All right, well, listen,
I
we
think
will.
you're going to introduce Donald Trump. No, I'm kidding.
I'll go wherever you need me to go. All right, so
Thank
we
you.
will
You're the
definitely
best,
talk
Larry.
about that later in the program when we have Matt Schlapp here, give us a preview of CPAC, and perhaps the segment will be sponsored by some of the prepper industry that you.
Oh,
are.
I wonder if Fauci's going to come up with the vaccine for the zombie virus. Get ready for that.
Are you kidding? I'm sure Pfizer is already working on it, and it's patent.
Already.
We'll get into that a little later. Also, in a moment, Kari Lake, who was on stage at CPAC last year. You know, last year at CPAC, Kari Lake, during her remarks, talked about how just a couple of days ago, she had been offered a bribe to stay out of politics. And this week, she dropped the audio of that very bribe. We played it for you yesterday, and now we will give you an update on the fallout of that story. That's in a moment. But first, at 6:15.
Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
To stop me and to silence you. I decided to stop me and to silence you. I decided to share this. It's a little bit controversial, but I'm going to put this out. Somebody showed up at my door this week. They called me before and said, I got to talk to you in person. This can't be done over the phone, which is always kind of like, uh-oh, what's that going to be about? They came to my door and they tried to bribe me out of getting out of politics. It's really happened.
That was March 4th of last year, as I mentioned, on the stage at CPAC. Mercedes Schlapp. I vividly remember seeing Kari, because everybody wanted to see Kari Lake's speech, right?
Yep.
So I remember us running from, in fact, I think you and I went together from backstage.
I think we did. Yes, that's right.
Into the audience. We were backstage in the
Yeah.
green room together, and we went in and said, we got to watch this. And I remember that moment vividly. And now this week, she dropped this bombshell hidden recorded audio. This is a conversation Kari Lake had with the Republican chairman in Arizona, Jeff DeWitt.
Is there a number at which
I can be bought.
not be bought?
That's what it's about.
You can take a pause for a couple of years.
No.
And then go right back to what you're doing.
No. 10 million, 20 million, 30, no. A billion, no. This is not about money. This is about our country.
So the fallout yesterday was severe. Mr. DeWitt resigned his position as chairman of the Republican Party of Arizona. His statement was curious. He said, Kari Lake has a massive megaphone that I can't compete with. This was a recording of a conversation we were having. We're friends. These were two friends sitting around talking about things. And the team Kari Lake gave me an ultimatum, said that if I did not immediately resign, there would be other audio recordings that they would release. He said, I have no idea what it might contain because we're friends and we talked about a lot of things, but it would be best if I just regret. He said, I said things I regret. I realized when hearing Lake's recording that I was set up. I believe she orchestrated the entire situation to have control over the state party, and it's obvious from the recording that she crafted her performance responses with the knowledge that she was recording it. I don't know how he was set up, though, if he voluntarily came in and said, listen, I'm hearing from people back east that they want you out of the picture and they're willing to give you, however much you need. So,
well, it kind of shows like the ugliness, the grossness of politics, right? You try to buy people off because you just don't want them to run because they are too independent, like a Kari Lake. Kari Lake is not going to be bought. She's just not the way she is. And the mere fact is look, he made a huge mistake, and obviously there were big money people behind him. Behind Jeff,
Mercy,
basically saying
you're pretty connected in this town. Do you, if you had to guess, because that's the question is, who is it? Who told DeWitt to try to bribe Kari Lake to get her out?
I will not reveal who I believe it is.
But you have a hunch.
I won't do it. 100%. I know exactly. I know.
Wait. You know exactly. That goes well beyond a hunch.
I believe I know who it is. But I think, look, here's the thing. Jeff DeWitt worked for President Trump. I know Jeff. And look, it saddens me that he would have been put in this position to make these comments and basically, in essence, tell Kari Lake, look, we'll pay you whatever it takes. Just get out of the race so that these other candidates can get in. I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed because it's like she should be able to, run. She's an incredibly popular candidate. She really talk about being charismatic and mobilizing the grassroots in Arizona. Instead, if she's the most popular, if she's being effective, why not support her?
Right.
And why not see if we
she
can
gets
get
votes?
yes.
Yes.
And now what are you finding? Complete disarray in the Republican Party in Arizona. That's very hurtful going into the presidential election where literally President Trump has to win Arizona.
Big establishment money in D.C. trying to keep Kari Lake from running for the Senate. Does the person's name rhyme with Rich Racconnell?
I don't know.
Does the person's name rhyme with Kill Bristol? Not sure.
You're so funny.
Thanks.
I'm not going to reveal my opinion on
it's
this.
It's probably best because there would be a lawsuit and WMAL will get dragged in. So you know what? You're right. I should have never asked.
It makes me sad because Jeff DeWitt is a good guy. Like, I'm actually really disappointed. And I do think that someone came to Jeff and said, you got to go talk to Kari. And I think he should have used his judgment on this and said, we can't do this. This is wrong.
That's right. He's a good guy, but he made a really bad decision.
Really, really bad mistake.
It's 6:22. We have an update now on the Hunter Biden art situation, the selling of his art. Let's remind you first of what Jen Psaki said when the issue was raised back in 2021 about the ethical boundaries about his art.
Consideration. A system has been established that allows for Hunter Biden to work in his profession within reasonable safeguards. Of course, he has the right to pursue an artistic career, just like any child of a president has the right to pursue a career. But all interactions regarding the selling of art and the setting of prices will be handled by a professional gallerist adhering to the highest industry standards, and any offer out of the normal course would be rejected out of hand, and the gallerist will not share information about buyers or prospective buyers, including their identities with Hunter Biden or the administration.
Very clear. A system has been established. The identity of the buyers won't be shared with Hunter Biden or the administration, and anything out of the industry norm will be rejected out of hand. Fast forward to the truth, to the reality. The House Oversight Committee yesterday released the details of the interview they had of the art dealer Georges Berger. Apparently, Hunter Biden knew 70% of the buyers of this art. And the two major buyers, one of them to a tune of $1.5 million, are huge funders to the Democratic Party.
I got to tell you something.
Yeah.
Matt Schlapp brought this up to me, and he keeps asking this question. He's like, who is the White House counsel? Does anybody know his name? Does anybody know who the White House counsel is?
A good question.
Nobody.
Right.
And that's the thing. The mere fact that there are no ethics put in place, guidance, is
That's
a big
right.
problem.
They claimed there was a system in place. There was clearly no system in place. Coming up, school choice and what it might look like in Maryland someday.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington. A Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It is O'Connor and Company at 6:37 here this Thursday morning. And yes, we still got an eye on that Texas showdown with the federal government over the border. And if anything develops during the show, we'll certainly keep you up to see it, and we'll tell you what happened overnight as well. Plus, coming up at 7:35, Matt Schlapp from the American Conservative Union will give us a preview of CPAC and reaction to the world of politics today. 8:05 is John Gonzalez from WJLA. He's been reporting on the Montgomery County Public School superintendent getting pushed out over a scandal regarding inappropriate relationships with adults and children. Wow. And then at 8:35, Liz Murrell, she's the Attorney General of Louisiana. But a big win she had against Biden's Green New Deal, but also we'll get her to chime in on the border thing as well. And by we, I mean me and she. Mercedes Schlapp keeping us company this morning on O'Connor.
How do you know my pronoun? That's very personal.
You look like a she to me, from what I can
know.
see.
These days, yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying to keep it together.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, it's great to be on, and I can't wait for Matt Schlapp to be on. He's like my other favorite person.
Okay. Me too. He's my second favorite Schlapp, actually. Joining us right now is Jeff TRIMBATH, the president of the Maryland Family Institute. We've been focusing on School Choice Week this week every day. And as a Marylander myself, I look with great interest as to what goes on in our state. Thanks for joining us, Jeff.
Great to be with you, Larry, and you, Mercedes.
Larry Hogan as a governor was a kind of a mixed bag, I think it's fair to say. He was good on some issues, and I think that he did as much as he could do with regard to the school system and school choice, despite insurmountable odds in the state assembly and the state senate. But now we've got Wes Moore. What's Wes Moore doing? Because he seems like the kind of Democrat who is in the back pocket of all of these powerful unions, like the teachers union.
Well, that seems to be the case. So, you know, for some folks in Annapolis, it's all about money, money, money. And, of course, there's a lot of talk about the blueprints in Maryland, which will commit Maryland taxpayers to $4 billion a year for the next 10 years, $40 billion. And so, you know, with record deficits this year in Annapolis, some are wondering whether that level of funding is sustainable, and also whether that level of funding is actually educating kids. And there's an open question on that, on the table on that. So that's sort of the meta narrative with education in Annapolis these days.
Let me ask you, one of the things I think that we're seeing is that this program, it's widely popular with Maryland parents that are recognizing that these schools are failures, that there's these corrupt school systems that are really hurting the kids. We've seen, for example, in Baltimore, in these public district schools, that they didn't even have a single student who was proficient in math. I mean, do you see that more and more parents are rising up and really trying to pressure the governor to make sure that they keep this program in place and that it gets the appropriate funding?
Yeah, so you're talking about the BOOST program, which is the very modest school choice program that exists in Maryland. And sadly, when Wes Moore came into office last year, he reduced the funding to the program and also put a provision in his budget to phase it out over a number of years. Thanks to bipartisan efforts of our allies here in Annapolis, we were able to save the program, albeit at a reduced level, and also to eliminate that phase-out provision. Unfortunately, with the budget that he just unveiled last Wednesday, that phase-out provision has made its way back into the budget, and so we are working with our allies to try to keep the program. It's sad because you're right, Mercedes. increasing number of parents want choices for their kids. There are twice as many applicants for this program than we have scholarships to deliver. It really seems like parents want more choices, and we would hope the governor would agree that parents deserve a choice in where to send their kids.
Well, and at a time when the Baltimore Public School District doesn't have a single student who's proficient in math, and I don't see Governor Leave No One Behind out there giving any kind of alternative solution to a fundamental disaster that he's now overseeing, you would think at the very least he would keep this one program intact. What's his rationale here?
Well, you'd have to ask the governor that question.
Maybe I should more. Actually, I should ask Randy Weingarten the question, because I think we all know what's going on here.
Well, that's what many of us suspect, is that this is a payoff to the teachers' unions. And frankly, no disrespect to the vast majority of public school teachers who are doing their jobs and wanting to invest in the next generation. You know, my parents were public school teachers. My wife's parents were public school teachers. Both of us went through the public school system, so we're big fans of that system.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it seems like there may be some payoff there.
Jeff Trimbath is with the Maryland Family Institute, and he's the president there, actually, marylandfamily.org. This is something that's bipartisan, and even Democrats in Annapolis recognize when they're pushing against the tide here. What can people do? Do you have resources at marylandfamily.org for people to get in there and notify these lawmakers that they should not touch Boost? In fact, they should actually overfund Boost. They should expand Boost.
That's right. Yeah, the two things they can do. They can go to our website, marylandfamily.org. Like you said, Larry, we have a wonderful research paper that we've done on the program, completely free of charge. They can download that or send us an email, and we'll send that to them with our compliments. And they can read more about the facts behind the program. They can also call the Annapolis State House, and they can tell their representatives to support school choice, to give parents more options. That number is 410-841-3000, and they can be connected right to their state delegate or state senator.
Jeff, thanks for the hard work you're doing, and let's do whatever we can. I mean, listen, Democrats have locked things in Annapolis right now, but we can still have small victories, and this would actually be a huge one. Jeff Trimbath, exactly. Maryland Family Institute. Thank you, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Mercedes.
Do you ever think sometimes, Mercedes Schlapp, that this entire world economic freedom, global elitist, climate change agenda, it really just has one goal in mind, and that is to ruin anything that the rest of us enjoy? That's really what it's all about.
It's control. It is control of the masses. It is about they get to do all the elites get to do all the fun stuff, and then we just the masses are not part of that.
Right. Specifically, it is about control, but it's specifically about controlling all the things that you like. You can't eat burgers, you can't eat steaks, you can't eat anything other than soybeans and
plants. You can eat and bugs. You have to eat bugs.
You can eat bugs. You can't ride on an airplane. You can't drive an SUV or any kind of vehicle. You'll go on the light rail that we tell you to go to. You can't. Well, during COVID, you can't. Actually go outside and breathe fresh air or interact with individuals and people that you love and see your dying grandfather in the hospital. They like to control everything. And here's the latest. But this might be the one where everybody finally just draws the line. This is the one where we see a global revolution. They're coming after our coffee.
What?
Mercedes.
Are you kidding me? Wait, I missed this.
World Economic Forum.
Wait.
Yep,
What?
here it is. There's a video featuring elites at the WEF annual meeting in Davos discussing how coffee production contributes to climate change.
Let me tell you.
And so they have to do something about it.
Let me tell you, this is going to cause a revolution. Like,
no, this is it.
Do not touch the coffee.
Oh.
Like, hands off the coffee.
Honey, I will lead this revolution if they're coming after my coffee.
I'm with you. I'll be one of the generals.
Oh,
yeah.
it'll be the jitteriest. Every single person on the front lines will have a really shaky trigger finger if they're taking our coffee away.
I mean, that's crazy.
Take a listen. Here is Swiss banker Hubert Keller talking about coffee.
On the nature side, basically, the coffee that we all drink emits between 15 and 20 tons of CO2 per ton of coffee.
Good.
So we should all know that this is every time we drink coffee, we are basically putting CO2 into the atmosphere. One of the reasons is because most of the coffee plantation or most of the coffee is produced through monoculture. And monoculture is also affected by climate change.
By the way, as is typical, most of the coffee production in this world happens in third world nations where this is the
Latin America, Africa.
It's the only kind of economic growth that they have at all. So we got to stop that, right? It's the only thing that helps some of these countries have sustainable economies. May I say, pardon my French, they speak French in Switzerland, don't they? They speak German, they speak French, they speak Italian. Here's the French. Screw you. And stay away from my coffee. You ain't touching it. Yeah. This is outrageous. And this is where we get the hipsters on our side, too. Because they don't want to go without their espressos and their lattes.
Are you kidding me? I mean, I think we could even get the college kids on this. Are you kidding me? For sure. Especially, let me tell you, the Cubans, you better not touch their Cuban coffee.
That's right, the Cubans. Oh, my gosh.
I mean, we start drinking coffee in the baby bottle. Like, this is what they do to us.
So let me just say, we've been flirting with this idea, and I planned on rolling this out either this quarter or maybe the beginning of the second quarter, but I might fast track it. I've been mentioning it on the air once in a while. We're coming out with our own coffee. It's going to be O'Coffee and Company. The O'Coffee and Company brand of coffee that you can buy. So you can drink the same coffee that we drink every morning. I might need to fast track it, and we're going to have a special label that is specifically like, you drink this coffee and it will harm the environment more than any other coffee you can buy. It is, in fact, we will actually release more CO2 gas into the atmosphere.
You should call it the CO2 coffee.
There you go.
That could be like a special edition.
This will be, O'Coffee and Company is coming. Get ready for it.